will flight the presentation as well. It was dealt with during his evidence. We are flighting it as well, Chair. So that is the email that was sent on the 16th, MM12.
Correct. From Dylan Perumal to Drishantha Ramsamy, Mansura Pesu, Brian Padiachi. Subject, diversion presentation. Good day, colleagues. Please provide input before we submit to the ID. Kind regards.
Now we can deal with the presentation, which is on the next page, and we'll also flight that. Okay, the first under background. We'll start on background. Just wait for it to
Sure.
appear on your screen. Thank you. There we go. So you can read your paragraph 10, and we will follow on the presentation.
Sorry, maybe before you read that paragraph 10, let me ask you a question on an earlier paragraph. When Mr. Perumal tells you that he's consulted with this witness who was flown to meet with him by the minister, did you not ask how does Perumal end up with this witness? How did you know there's this witness to speak to?
Commissioner,
it seems to me, especially in the light of your concern, and you're the prosecutor in charge, it seems to me a natural question in the light of your concerns to ask, how did you happen upon this witness?
Commissioner, to be very honest with you, I learned very early what to ask and when to ask Mr. Perumal questions. It would be if I wanted those sort of answers, it would be on the smoker's balcony while he's having a smoke and I'm having my coffee and we can just have a chat. That would be the time but I had not asked him that question.
Did you ever find out or formed a view, an opinion about how he ends up with this witness?
I did, Commissioner, and it will become clearer.
You will speak to it later.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you can read paragraph 10 and we will flight the presentation.
I wish to highlight the following important aspects about the presentation, the draft presentation that Mr. Perumal sent on that day. In the presentation, under the heading Background, Mr. Perumal states that a member of Parliament and member of the Portfolio Committee on Police submitted an affidavit in terms of Section 27 to the ID, urging that criminal investigations help to be initiated by the IDAC on the following allegations. The reporting of a fictitious housebreaking and theft case by Major General Lushaba in 2022. Whilst he was the Acting Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, and the subsequent manipulation of the ensuing criminal investigation utilizing crime intelligence resources. The procurement of a forklift utilizing funds from the COVID CI account, circumventing of procurement processes, and the non-delivery of the forklift to date. The promotions and/or appointments, in brackets gratification, to specific senior managers and officers within the Crime Intelligence Division, and manipulation of vetting standards and processes, in brackets again, gratification, for specific senior managers of the SAPs, and the abuse of the COVID funds with regard to expenditure incurred and resources of the Political Killings Task Team, and for the benefit of the former Minister of Police. Purchase of 2 properties using COVID funds, in brackets PTA and KZN. The use of COVID funds to pay for high hotel accommodation and expenses for the current DivCom, Lieutenant General Kumalo and Lushaba.
And we will follow the presentation on the screen.
Thank you. On page 4 of the presentation, Mr. Perumal stated that the A1 affidavits obtained from Mr. Adams in the various case dockets needed supplementing. He also states, importantly, that on the 6th of January 2025, we, Mr. Perumal Ndropeso and I, traveled to Cape Town and consulted extensively with the MP. Importantly, he states supplementary affidavits were obtained from him, being Mr. Adams, for all the cases reported by him. Once again, this shows that as far as Mr. Perumal was concerned, when he prepared the presentation in January 2025, the affidavits that were obtained from Mr. Adams on the 6th of January 2025 were supplementary affidavits, no mention is made of a new A1 affidavit or affidavits.
Continue.
On 19 January 2025, I added a portion to the presentation which dealt with the prosecutor's input on the project and submitted the presentation to Advocate Johnson and Mr. Sissoko. On the 20th of January 2025...
Before you go to the 20th of January, we're just going to flight what you added to the presentation, and that is in file 10. The presentation starts at page 218, but we're focusing on page 229, from 229. That would be the prosecutorial input. That's what you would have added.
Correct.
To Mr. Perumal's presentation.
Correct.
And you deal with the various cases emanating from Mr. Adams' Section 27 referral.
Correct.
Now, we are going to deal later, if we could go to page 236, which refers to your concerns, because that is relevant for purposes of why Advocate Johnson said that you should add or deal with your concerns in the presentation. And at 236, you then set out your concerns.
May I read it into
the lady was being approached. What was the concern that she was being approached? Was she not considered to be a witness?
But my major concern was that Mr. Perumal was insisting that she must be found and that she must be placed in witness protection and that she must be consulted with because she's vital. And despite my numerous instructions that she is not supposed to be approached at this point, given the early stages of the investigation, I was in High Court and I received on the 20th of January, I received a WhatsApp message from a team member indicating that, from Mr. Rapesu, indicating that he was contacted to fetch Mr. Perumal from the airport and that they were in the process of going to hunt down the witness. Despite the fact that I had, even in the presence of, in my instructions on the 10th of December, I'm still being overlooked, bypassed, and ignored, and he's still proceeding. At that point, I sent a message while I was in court saying, no action on diversion is to be taken today.
Okay. So then you say the last bullet point is all other aspects of the above investigation will be discussed during the presentation due to its sensitivity.
Correct. We had received instructions from Advocate Johnson that we are not to document everything that she considered sensitive. I do deal with it later where we also get instructions not to email or WhatsApp, that sort of communication, anything written.
Okay.
The instruction not to document everything, does that mean that some of your discussions and decisions, as matters stand now, they are in your heads? There's no record at IDEC. What does that instruction mean?
Commissioner, I make very detailed notes, very, very detailed notes of every meeting, and I have supplied them. I've also volunteered to provide the originals for ink age analysis to determine that I did take those notes at that time.
I understand you clearly did not follow instructions. You were not supposed to document. I'm asking a different question, and more an institutional question. That instruction, am I correct, means today that there are matters that were discussed, there are decisions that were taken and acted upon even, that are not recorded anywhere. When I say they're in your heads, we would have to get another Ms. Ramsamy to come and sit there and say, here's my recollection of that decision. But to the extent that the institution is obliged by law, if there is such an obligation by law, to keep records of discussions, of decisions, there is, in fact, what you're telling us is there's matter that we will never find record of because of that kind of instructions and how you handled that.
Correct. Commissioner, it's also in an email from Advocate Johnson that we will deal with a bit later, where she emails a specific team, us, and the new team that's allocated to the matters as to how correspondence is supposed to be done and that it's not supposed to be documented.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's continue in paragraph 13 on 20 January 2025.
On 20 January 2025, a consultation was held with the forklift witness. Present at the consultation was Mr. Perumal Padiachi and Rapesu, the witness, and me. As stated earlier, Mr. Perumal previously informed us that the evidence of this witness was gold. But my assessment of the witness evidence was that it was largely hearsay and speculative. Mr. Perumal later indicated that DPCI was investigating the forklift matter and that IDAC should not pursue it any further. This was accepted by Advocate Johnson.
Does that mean that from that day onwards, IDAC no longer investigated the forklift matter?
That paragraph of Mr. Perumal indicating, it was done in the 2022 January presentation.
2022 January presentation, yes.
And then, despite the fact that the decision was accepted that DPCI would continue with the forklift investigation, I later became aware, and I say later, I mean like on the 11th of April.
11th of April what year?
Of 2025.
Okay.
I became aware that there were statements taken by Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi on that matter. I was only provided with them in April by accident.
Okay, let's just take a step back. So in the presentation that gets sent by Mr. Perumal on the 16th of January 2025 for purposes of the 22 January meeting, there's an indication by him that DPCI is investigating this matter, so IDAC will no longer investigate it. And at the meeting of 22 January, does Advocate Johnson then accept it then, the suggestion that you should no longer investigate it?
Correct.
Okay. So as you understood from the 22nd of January 2025, the forklift matter was no longer being investigated by IDAC.
Correct.
But in April, you are provided with, or you come across by accident, affidavits which show that they were in fact still investigating it, or were those affidavits, did they predate 22 January?
No. These affidavits were taken after 22 January.
Okay, so despite the acceptance by Advocate Johnson on the 22nd of January that we're not going to investigate forklift, it still gets investigated, or at least there's still something being done on forklift, such as gathering affidavits from witnesses.
Correct, and we will see later that even though it was decided in January that we were not going to deal with the forklift matter, it's still included in instructions by Advocate Johnson that forklift, when we get there, you'll see the order of how she places things, and she's still including the forklift.
Okay.
Can I just check this? How does it work? Clearly this matter, the forklift matter, at this point I'm not asking about whether it qualifies as an IDAC matter or not. When you look at the mandate, I'm not asking that kind of question. But you are seized with the matter because someone has referred it to IDAC. Now you get told by Mr. Perumal that the Hawks, the DPCI, are investigating the matter and we will no longer deal with it. Are those kind of issues dealt that informally? I would have thought there would be a record that from between you and the DPCI, which records that DPCI is investigating this matter, maybe ahead of you, or they think it belongs to them, and there's a formal communication that says, all right, now we leave it to you. We no longer are dealing with it, so there is a record within IDAC of what happened to this matter.
Correct, Commissioner. It's supposed to be that way. It is supposed to be that way. Because I belong to the security cluster under Paul Law, and we deal with those matters, there would be formal communication that we would send. In this circumstances, how are they investigating? And I did ask that question. I received no response. But on the point of the Langlach docket, it is the only docket where Mr. Adams actually provided documentary evidence with his A1.
Ilanglachte, it is the forklift matter.
Forklift.
And the documentation that he provided was the documentation that was slipped under his door?
As he stated, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You testified about that in your first statement, it was receipts and proof of payments or,
Correct. It was the procurement invoices, etc.
okay. Okay, paragraph 14, and I think it's 2025, not 2024.
Yes, it is 2025. On January 2025,
21 January.
21 January 2025, I had a conversation with Mr. Perumal regarding the matter of Cedric Nkabinde. I will deal with this topic separately when I deal with the trumped-up case against Mr. Rapesu. However,
Yeah, I think you can deal with it now because you don't expand on it in your statement.
later.
You reference another affidavit that was prepared as part of that, where you were requested to prepare an affidavit regarding that aspect. So maybe if you can just start out by telling us what is the Cedric Nkabinde matter, and then we can go to your affidavit.
okay. So on the 20th of January 2025, when we were consulting with the forklift witness, he made mention of Cedric Nkabinde. As naive as I am, I didn't know who that was, so I had to Google. When we were on the smoker's balcony the day after, Mr. Perumal and myself, he mentioned to me that, so there were two aspects that he addressed with me that day. One, that he didn't want the witness to speak about Cedric Nkabinde in front of Mr. Rapesu. And I didn't understand because at that time I didn't know that they had worked together at iPad.
They being? They had worked together, who you're referring to?
Mr. Nkabinde and Mr. Rapesu had previously worked at iPad together. The second aspect,
Sorry, and the witness that he refers to is the forklift witness.
correct.
Okay.
With regards to that, he didn't give me a reply. His next response to me was, the 21st, when we were on the balcony, Mr. Perumal addresses this aspect. And I said, but why? And he didn't give me a reply. His next response to me was, Drew, I need you to speak to ID. So I said, about? And he said, no. Rapesu is going to start crying that the work is too much now. I need you to speak to ID to bring on my guys. So this is the second time Mr. Perumal bring on his Eastern Cape guys, being Mr. Beluchan, Mr. Mbalo, because Mr. Mazibukwana at that time was in hospital. The first incident where Mr. Perumal brought up the aspect of his guys being on board was on the 6th of December, also on the balcony, where he said to me, I said to him, so I hear we have a new matter together, because he and I, we were not speaking on good speaking terms at that time because of what had transpired with the first 27 referral. We spoke, but it was not very friendly. And he said, yes, I need you to get those documents sorted out now because the ID must sign it. I want my guys to go and fetch the dockets before we leave because they were flying back to Eastern Cape. And I said to him, but the ID didn't designate. And then I gave him the 5 people that were designated. So with regards to the Nkabinde matter, if I may just go to the affidavit.
The affidavit is at page 248 of file 10.
And this is Mr. Nkabinde, Minister Mchunu's Chief of Staff or Lord?
Correct.
248, thank you.
So can you just tell us how this affidavit came about?
On the I have to go back to the 22nd of January. Okay. So we start the presentation to Advocate Johnson on the 22nd of January. We go through the presentation. Mr. Perumal is primarily reporting or presenting to the ID.
And this is the same presentation that we've been looking at.
MRR.
Yes.
Correct. So what happens on the 22nd is we all sitting in the boardroom. The presentation is now done. Advocate Johnson says she needs to inform the team about what happened to her the night before, or it was either the 20th or the 21st, but during the evening. She indicates that she had gone to Minister Mchunu's house or residence for a meeting, and that she had left her cell phone with her protectors, and she was left waiting for Minister Mchunu in his residence, but in the presence of Mr. Nkabinde, and that Mr. Nkabinde had given her the heebie-jeebies.
Made her feel uncomfortable.
Yes, made her feel uncomfortable. And so she went on about how there's something not right about in Nkabinde and all of that. I'm still trying to place the pieces together because I'm not coming from the history of I was in regional court, murder, rape, robbery. So I didn't know the role players.
It may not be relevant, but did she explain what exactly made her feel uncomfortable?
She did not explain why she felt uncomfortable. She explained only the purpose of the meeting with Minister Mchunu.
Okay, all right, please continue.
So at that point where she's explaining her unease and that there's something just off about Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Sissoko, who was present in the presentation, indicates that yes, Nkabinde had worked, Mr. Nkabinde had worked at IPED, and then she said, no, there's something, there's just something about him, we need to see what we can do about him. So, and I'm making notes. And she then says that, so Mr. Sissoko starts explaining that how Nkabinde left, Mr. Nkabinde left IPED, and that there was transcripts with regards to a case where he was found to be or discredited witness, etc. And Advocate Johnson said she wanted it. So Mr. Sissoko asked Mr. Rapeso, did you receive or do you have them? And he said yes. And then the instruction was that he was to circulate the transcripts to the team members. Then so then there was this whole conversation between Mr. Sissoko and Mr. Perumal. I was just sitting there taking my notes about Mr. Nkabinde having been linked to 2 other investigations and elements of criminality within matters that are in IDAC's space. One being investigated from Mr. Perumal's team, and the other one was a matter that was sent on 27 referral in 2019 or 2019 from IDAC at the time of the Zondo Commission, IPED at the time of the Zondo Commission. Advocate Johnson then instructs me, Drew, I want this information. I want this information, we need to see what we can do about this guy. When she says this guy, she refers to Mr. Nkabinde. So then the conversation continued between Mr. Sissoko and Mr. Perumal, where there was cell phone records linking Mr. Nkabinde to 2 different not suspects because they are accused persons. And they were service providers of SAPs that was being investigated by IPED. And I'm instructed by Advocate Johnson that I must contact the prosecutor on the matter, Mr. Tila Shabalala, and determine the links and what evidence there is. And I must then give her a report on that evidence.
You were instructed by who to contact the
Advocate Johnson wanted this, and she wanted it urgently. She wanted it done as soon as the meeting was done. Unfortunately, I had other meetings, so it couldn't happen. But going back to the affidavit,
Before you do that, so what you're describing means at the date of this meeting that you're telling us now about, that there was an active investigation against or relating to Mr. Nkabinde, because you speak of Mr. Perumal and Mr. Sissoko talking about transcripts, Mr. Rapesu confirming that he has received the transcripts. So it sounds like there was an active investigation. You may not have known about it.
no, Commissioner. The transcripts that Mr. Sissoko asked Mr. Rapesu about is transcripts of a trial where Mr. Nkabinde was a witness and was discredited. So those transcripts were asked for. With regards to the investigation, there was no active investigation at the time. There was links of Mr. Nkabinde to or in other investigations or matters that were already in court.
Let me restate what I'm trying to confirm with you. There may not have been an investigation, an active investigation, to the extent that that word has got a formal meaning, a particular meaning. My question really is, something was being looked at within IDEC. His name was not coming up for the first time in this meeting, being mentioned to people in IDEC. Mr. Sissoko had some discussion with Mr. Perumal before your meeting relating to Mr. Nkabinde.
No. The discussion about Mr. Nkabinde started, Mr. Perumal had a discussion with me that he didn't want the name of Nkabinde mentioned to Mr. Rapesu.
Yes.
The discussion involving everyone about Mr. Nkabinde was started by Advocate Johnson in the meeting after the presentation. And then everybody that knew him was piping in to say, oh yes, we have that, or yes, we know about this. So it was that sort of conversation.
Okay. I think what I'm trying to make sense of or to understand is you say Mr. Sissoko in that meeting confirms he has spoken to Mr. Perumal, or they speak to each other in that meeting. Something is asked about transcript. Rapesu says, yes, I do have the transcripts. What I'm trying to understand is whether they each just happened to have something about Mr. Nkabinde, and it had no particular meaning until that meeting, or in fact, it suggests that they may well each have been, for whatever purpose, have been possessed or dealing with something to do with Mr. Nkabinde. It's that which I'm trying to clarify.
For clarity purposes, when Mr. Nkabinde's name was mentioned and all this information was, it must be noted that at that time that no investigator, no prosecutor were pursuing the evidence that was housed within those dockets against Mr. Nkabinde.
Okay, no, thank you. You've answered me, thank you. Thanks.
So basically, all of this, that is the request for people by the request by